The future is here. An innovation that will change the way the industry works. A Hot 100 chart, updated daily. The most accurate price guide on the market. Every card has its own profile with a wealth of information. Know the precise, real-time value of any card in the system. On demand. You now have the power to unlock the secrets of the hobby. The game changer is here. Card Ladder.
What's
Yo.
up? How's it going?
I'm happier now.
I bet you are. That first half sucked, but the second half things went back to expected.
Yeah, they looked like a little bit bored at times, like they weren't trying, and then fourth quarter it was like time to shut it down.
Yes, indeed. Do you think the Blazers will win another game?
Probably maybe one more. I don't know. The defense seems to be the difference. You know, the Lakers' defense is really strong. Their length is starting to affect the game, and like the Lakers' big men are able to hedge on those screens on Lillard, and then Nurkic looks worn down against those big guys at the end of the games.
Yeah, Nurkic, even the announcers commented that Nurkic was just gassed.
They should have played Whiteside more because they can't. They should have just played Whiteside more.
Yeah.
That seemed to work.
Yeah, and yeah, I personally don't see the Blazers winning another game here unless something dramatic happens. Like the Blazers figure out how to do more than just ISO to Carmelo, ISO to McCollum, ISO to Lillard, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, their pick and roll isn't working because Howard and Davis are able to like get out on those pick and rolls and like stop Lillard, and then they're forced to like go ISO ball in the last few seconds.
Yeah, and it just doesn't look pretty at all.
They're hitting shots though still. Lillard and McCollum are making shots, keeping it close, and then Lakers are missing a crap ton of free throws.
Yeah, and the Lakers are shooting a crap ton of free throws too. I didn't see the final number, but I think the Lakers shot 4 times as many free throws as the Blazers did.
Yeah, I mean that's not that surprising. They're a bigger team. They go inside. Blazers shoot a lot of jump shots.
Yeah, they do.
I don't really overreact to free throws that much. Like the refs aren't trying to make one team better.
No, and the refs are under such scrutiny right now. It's crazy, but yeah, okay. Lakers are rolling. Bucks are rolling. Raptors are rolling. Heat are rolling. Clippers are starting to get rolling. Things are going about how we expected to now, I think.
Yep.
Recapping the state of the first round here, but it's still early.
Yep.
Okay, so what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to this Saturday night special edition of The Crossover.
Yeah.
And, oh, my God, we've got a lot of topics. I don't know if it's because it's Saturday night or what, but, man, we got inundated with topics. I had to weed out a lot of them, so I'm sorry. The majority of you guys who sent in questions, we're not going to be able to get to them. The first topic here, let's just get right into it right away. Super hot topic right now. I know you got a lot of thoughts on it. What's up, sports card physical therapist? What's up, everybody? Frankie, what's up, man?
I'll get it ready because I know you're going to ask me already.
Soccer cards. Cards. Let's talk about soccer cards.
Man, they are red hot. Probably the hottest thing in the market right now. I mean, if I'm looking at Mbappe's base Prism rookie 2018. It was $1,000 as recently as 2 weeks ago, and now it's 3,000. I'm guessing that's anticipation of his game. I don't even know what this game is tomorrow. That's how little I know about soccer. But there's some big game tomorrow, and apparently his cards are hot because he's good. I don't know. I was looking at the market. I was looking at some of like the sales data, and I was seeing a lot of the sales of these cards coming from America, and I had a few trustworthy resources pointing that out to me as well. That like 85% of the sales of Mbappe cards are coming from the United States, and the whole point is that this is like an international game, so like international buyers, international customers, that's who you'll be selling to, and it's a bigger market to sell to. But I'm not seeing that data, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. It feels like it's a bit inflated and hyped, and a little bit of like of a false hype, but I could be wrong. Maybe soccer cards are the next big thing in Europe, and I'm just not seeing it because I don't know a lot of people in Europe that collect soccer cards. I thought they were more of a sticker thing, and obviously like I missed out on this boat completely. I don't own any soccer cards, so you could take it as me being jealous of the FOMO.
Okay, well, interesting comments in here. If this is true, that's huge. Weekend Up Nate says Mbappe Gold Prism sold on Golden.
100,000.
101,000 plus buyer's premium.
That's insane, dude. Like, isn't he just like a super young kid? $100,000. That's like more than like really high end LeBron rookies and like Michael Jordan 90s parallels and stuff. Like, I don't understand that at all. $100,000.
Yeah.
This was 1,200 like 2 days ago. Like the pop is going to be going insane on this card.
If that, I did not see that Golden auction, so I want to look at it. But if that's true, it it definitely lends credence to the base and the silver surges, because the last I looked, Mbappe's silver PSA 10 was over $10,000. 5-figure card, and the Prism base is $3K ish. So it reminds me a bit of just from the perspective of what the graphs look like. It reminds me a bit of Project 2020, where you've got something very new that was extremely cheap for a long time. Well, Project 2020 was a new concept entirely, but soccer cards basically were dirt cheap for a long time. And all of a sudden, there was this groundswell for them. And it doesn't take that many people to feel the FOMO and to see the potential for bids to start shooting up quickly and for eBay to dry up. And then, there's always two sides to every transaction. So you need a buyer who's willing to pay strong, and you need sellers who are willing to be a little patient and hold out a little bit.
There's like people comparing him to LeBron in the comments. I just laughed. Like, the kid just started. Like, what, you're comparing him to LeBron already? Come on, man. Relax. Like, dude, LeBron is legendary because he's done this for 17 years. Like, you're really going to compare people's careers in their first, 2 years of each other? That doesn't make any sense. It's like, this is a long game, guys. Like, I don't want to hear any comparisons to LeBron James in, his third year in the league.
What do you mean, bro? He's the greatest athlete of all time already, man.
His cards are more expensive than Pele and Ronaldo and Messi. These guys are legendary players. It's insane. I get it that he's hot, but come on, man. He just started. People just can't miss out. They're just so obsessed with buying the best player that's the hottest guy right now. It's just insane to me. Stop and step back and figure out who the best players of all time are.
Yeah, and I was talking to a buddy of mine. I won't name him, but he said he's a great collector, and he said he bought a soccer card last week. He just saw them going crazy. He saw them all over social media, and he just wanted one, and he went out and bought one. And he wasn't he didn't think he was Warren Buffett or anything for the purchase, for making that purchase, but he was kind of bashful about it, and it's fun. You buy into whatever's hot right now. You don't go balls deep, but you buy in, and it's hot for a reason. It's the hobby wave. It's the trend. It's a really interesting thing to when stuff like this happens. It's really interesting. I don't know anything about soccer. I don't care to. Same goes for hockey. Baseball, I care a little bit more about. So, how many guys does it take to make an Mbappe market 10x? How many guys does it take who buy
Not that many.
Not that many.
That's what people don't understand. Like this happens with all kinds of cards, like the Jordan Fleer. It's happening with the Luka base, and that one's retreating already. It happened with the LeBron Prism 2019 base. That one's retreating quickly. It doesn't take that many people to just like go on eBay and buy up a crap ton of cards, reduce the supply, and then just like start pumping them on Instagram and start getting their friends into it. Like I'm just seeing like a lot of people buying soccer cards that don't even know anything about soccer. Like I'm getting people messaging me being like, I guess I got to figure out what this game is on Sunday because I've never watched soccer before, but I own $10,000 worth of Mbappe cards. I better figure this out.
Yeah, and it is something that's so interesting about the hobby that you really don't, you can get away with not knowing much about sports if you just know kind of the hobby and you know how the hobby works.
Here's the 2019 Prism LeBron record that was retreated pretty quickly.
Yep. And that's an interesting case study because even after the retreat, it's still higher than the initial point, but it definitely is retreated, and you don't want to be the person who bought at the peak. That's Project 2020 charts are even more dramatic. They had a huge peak.
Give me a 2020 card.
I'm drawing a what's the
Ermsey Trout. What's the one that's like
Ermsey Trout?
Okay. So that one got up to 2,500 and it's retreated all the way back down to 500. So
yep. And
I mean,
it was $20 out the gate, so 20 to 500, but there's definitely people who are buying that thing all the way up, and
I mean, this is the part right here. I mean, we've seen a lot of these graphs and we've talked about it where like, it's growing, people are getting excited about it, and then people just get way too up into it and they just this happens, this giant jump, and then it's just like always retreats. You can't go up that fast.
So I'm going to bring in a question. And, it's interesting because I see people in the chat, they're really into this, the match is coming up tomorrow. So,
money on
I'm going to bring in a question here. It is from Jay Sports Cards. He says, what is the risk of buying at current price levels? And like, he obviously meant, the hobby as a whole, but I think this is as good of any of a topic for soccer. What's the risk of buying an Mbappe Prism base PSA 10 at $3,000?
Tons of risk, man. Huge risk. There's a lot of risk there because he's going to play this game tomorrow. There's going to be a result. He might win. He might lose. People are going to get bored of it eventually. He'll go down. All the whales will start selling off. The supply is going to go up. PSA is going to grade a crap ton of these cards in the next few weeks and months. I saw people posting pictures of like insane amounts of base cards of this, just raw sitting in boxes. There's tons of this out there. It's going to start going up. The risk in like a lot of cards are really high right now because everything's so hot, everything's so high. People have been waiting for games and results, and now that we're getting more and more results of games. There's disappointment. Lillard had a disappointing game, or not a disappointing game, but like the result isn't going his way. So Lillard cards will probably retreat. You're seeing like all these bubble players like Bobo's not even playing. TJ Warren's not playing very well. Butler's out playing him. You're seeing kind of the average play itself out back to the mean of like what we expected, and a lot of this stuff's retreating. So, and we got like uncertainty in the country with the election coming up. Like, it's pretty risky right now.
Yeah, it is risky, and I think the thing that is very attractive to people is they see the possibility of coming into a card that was $5, $10, $20, and the card becoming $500 a month or two later, or even more. Like, people really get excited at the prospect of that happening. And then they see that you can create value in places that seem ripe, but that haven't been totally, exploited yet. And like soccer, there seems to have been the ingredients there for people to, spot the fact that, hey, a lot of people care about soccer. Let's try and bring cards into this mix and see if we can make it happen. And all it takes is a few dozen buyers, maybe, up to 50 to 100 buyers to accept the premise that this is a real market, and it becomes a real market, at least for a period of time. Now, you said something very interesting. I'm going to loop in another question on that topic. Frankie 3500 writes in, talk about the crazy market reaction to each NBA game. It feels like it's a roller coaster.
Yeah, I think that's just a product of like how many new people are in it right now. Like I'm not seeing a lot of the veteran collectors that I know that are like jumping on the ups and downs of this and the swings and stuff. It's mostly like new people coming in that aren't sure like how you're supposed to treat this, so they just kind of daily gamble on it, like DFS people or shoe flippers or whatever, and people are just really excited about the ups and downs of it and playing the risky game, I guess. That'd be my only assessment on that.
Yeah, that's true, and I can speak from a bit of experience at having a prospect in my PC, is that every time a game goes well, you feel yourself start thinking these grandiose thoughts. This player is going to be everything. They're going to win it all. Maybe not this year, maybe next year, maybe the year after. This player is going to be the biggest thing in sports, biggest thing in their category for sure. So everything just looks so bright, so rosy right now because one game went well. And, dude, the emotions of an NBA playoff game, like, it's 48 minutes of basketball, dude, and there's so many swings and there's so many opportunities to get excited, and you can even get to a point where just one basket, one well-timed basket or one little streak, and all of a sudden you're feeling so bullish about your player that you're hopping on eBay and you're buying everything. That really happens. And then the reverse can happen too, though. As soon as reality sets in and, you start to realize that, man, winning a championship is really tough. Being the best player on the floor on a given night is really tough. The emotion can swing the other direction also. But as my brother commented to me, and I'm showing off some of his Brady cards right now, he remarked to me that the hobby is just full of endless optimism and enthusiasm and hope. It's just a hopeful place, a bunch of hopeful people, and everybody hopes that, their guy, whether it's Mbappe, whoever, their guy is the next guy. And, you have unbridled enthusiasm and an absolute bull market. So it is going to be a roller coaster. There are going to be crazy market reactions to games. There's going to be huge fluctuations in prices. And I don't think that's going away anytime soon, at least until players start getting knocked out of the playoffs. And look, man, I'm not playing told you so, but we said a month or two ago when we were talking about all the market for prospects and active players, and we said as teams start getting knocked out of the bubble, their prices are going to start trending down. That's just what happens. And it's happened to Zion. It's happened to Morant. It's happened to Simmons. It's happened to Embiid. And it's good. It's healthy for a market that when we're reacting so strongly to games and players are no longer involved in games, that their prices are going to trend down a little bit. So, it is going to be a roller coaster, man. And it does kind of feel more and more like gambling the longer we go on.
Is this Mbappe card even a rookie card? It's not, right? Someone help me with this.
Yeah. I don't want to speak out of turn on soccer cards. I don't know enough to comment intelligently on them.
The pop on this Mbappe is like 1240, and these Messi and Ronaldo's are way lower, and the prices are like the same. Like, people just don't understand supply and demand here. Like, the market cap on the Mbappe is like 3x the Ronaldo and Messi, and aren't they like pretty similar cards if they're not rookie cards? Like, none of them are rookie cards. Yeah, so Weekend Update said Mbappe has a 2016 card. So this isn't even a rookie card. It's just a hyped card. It's like there's not even like any historical relevance to this card. Is it just like the World Cup card? That's when he won the World Cup. So these cards come out every 4 years, I'm guessing. Okay. Like, we're learning on the fly, guys. Like, this soccer thing's coming out of nowhere. I've never watched soccer, so I don't even know. Like, I don't know a lot of people in the country that watch soccer. That's what's confusing about it.
Yeah, soccer strikes me as a uniquely team sport, with not a high quantity of highlight reel type of plays. So there's a lot of things about it that don't jive with the traditions of the hobby, such as like players who, you know, generate a lot of highlights, who constantly are in possession of the ball, who are constantly the focus of the camera, tend to be hobby darlings. Quarterbacks, wings, who, you know, are athletic and make great plays in basketball, home run hitters in baseball. Like, I don't know. That
Yeah, I would equate these guys to like receivers or like in football where they're like finishing the playoff and they're the ones getting like the celebrations and these are the guys at the end of the plays that kind of get the glory of it at the end.
they do.
But I don't know a ton about soccer. I just know that like the strikers usually get the most attention, the goal scorers, and the other guys don't really get much, even if they're good players. Because you know it's kind of like in football, you got like your offensive and defensive linemen who could be better players, but they're just never going to get the shine in the hobby because they're not impacting the game as much like visibly to the fans.
Yeah, well, I mean, it will be very interesting to see where soccer goes. Sports Card PT says, I respectfully disagree, Chris. Plenty of crazy highlights in soccer. That could be. Maybe I just need to pay a little closer attention here. So, I don't know, quick poll of the chat. How many people in the chat are paying $3,000 right now for an Mbappe Prism Silver base?
Not the silver.
No, not the silver, the base. I just wonder where this market is at.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're all retreating a little bit from their peaks. And also, so people message me like, if he wins on Sunday, his stuff's gonna double and stuff like that. That's what they say to me, and I'm like, why didn't that work for Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl? You know, it's like people are buying right now in anticipation of him possibly winning on Sunday. They're not buying after he wins. Like nobody's doing that. It's always like a prospecting anticipation thing with this stuff. People are buying leading up to something. Like I would anticipate that if LeBron like starts to make a deep playoff run here, his peak of his cards is going to be like Western Conference Finals, like anticipation of him getting there. That's usually how I've seen it over the years.
Yep, and that's because there's so many players in the market for cards who are looking to, you know, make money and try to sell at the right time, try to time their sells properly. And so you get all these counterintuitive, unnatural situations where once a guy makes his huge accomplishment, his cards dip because guess what? Everybody wants to cash in all of a sudden. So that's kind of the zag as well here is that, you know, you sell the player before the accomplishment and that's a hedge on two levels. Number one, it's a hedge in case the accomplishment never comes to fruition. Then you've hedged properly against that. And number two, you've beaten to the punch everybody else who's going to start dumping the players' cards once they're no longer, you know, once there's no more chance for the cards to go up in value anymore. And look, guys, just like it takes only a few buyers to send a market literally going parabolic, it only takes a few sellers to completely flood that market. And I'll give you a case study really quick. So Zion Williamson's Prism Base BGS 9.5, we had a ladder headline about this a day ago. Those were selling 2 to 3 copies per day at the end of July at auction, 2 to 3 per day. And they were doing about $450. Then what happened after the Pelicans got knocked out of the playoffs, they all got sent to the auction houses. And 2 days ago, which was the last time I looked, 30 some odd copies of the same card sold at auction in the same day. So you're talking about 15 times as many copies of the card is signed at the same day because everybody sees the opportunity where right now they want to bail, they want to try and capitalize. Because most people were getting that card at like $200 or they're buying it raw and grading it for even cheaper. It doesn't take much for the supply of a card to 10x or to 15x and to go from selling 2 or 3 times a day at auction to 30 times a day at auction. So keep that in mind.
Yep. Can we move on? I just don't know enough about soccer. I feel like people are really mad at me, or they're like, "Yeah, you're right. It sucks." I don't know. I don't want to be this divisive on it. It's very like it's a very all or nothing proposition here. I'm not really comfortable with it.
That's completely fair. No, and you know, hey, we're all me for sure, figuring out what is going on with this soccer stuff right now. We'll all figure it out together, and we'll see. Time will tell where soccer goes, and there will be lots of lessons to be learned there. We have so many questions here. Okay. So I'm displaying Tom Brady cards tonight. You're just going to be talking about ping pong and volleyball cards. That'll be next week.
Cricket.
Cricket, right? Cricket, very popular sport there. Let's talk about football cards a little bit. Because Card Shop Dad came in with an interesting question about football. He says, "What if the NFL season gets canceled or postponed? Does it have a similar effect that COVID-19 had on basketball?" And what do you think about that?
No, because I think people anticipated basketball eventually coming back, and then like the NBA is pretty smart and they figured out how to do the bubble, and so like people, like obviously when it first came out, there was a lot of panic and like it went down. And then as we figured out that like the NBA was looking into ways to salvage the season, there was some hope. Prices back up. If you completely cancel the entire NFL season, I think people are going to be pretty upset about that and want to move on. Like if there's no salvaging it, I got to think that that's going to send the football card stuff down quite a bit. And that's giving you my totally unbiased opinion because I do not want that to happen. I own a lot of football cards, so I'm aware that could happen.
Yeah. The thing is too, is that football went through its own COVID as well. It went through a very, like the key guys, whether it's Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, but you can look at it all the way on down. Stidham, Mayfield, Kyler, all the young studs, Josh Allen, Josh Jacobs, everybody. Their cards saw 2, 3, 4, 5x returns during COVID, just like the basketball studs did. So football's already been through COVID-19 as well. It already happened once.
Yeah.
But the thing about the question is kind of buried in there is like, okay, so what if we just like prolong the suspense of the NFL season coming back? Does that like give another few months of just speculation and run up in prices? And I don't know how much more speculation and run up in prices there can be without guys actually finally taking a snap.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
It's gonna have to.
I think the big angle that I've been thinking about is like, especially with this whole soccer surge of like Americans being all excited about a sport. Like there's nothing more that people are excited about in this country than fantasy football and football season. So I think the actual play of the football season and fantasy football going through and like drafts happening, I think that would just be a huge boost to the football card market. Just people getting really excited about it and having football back and having some normalcy through this whole mess. But man, there's obviously like a lot of risk there with like how many people are on these teams, if they're going to be traveling. The NBA has done a great job because they have less people, less travel, or no travel, obviously, and there's just a lot more risk involved with the NFL. Like MLB is having these issues where they're running into cases popping up because of the travel and the sheer amount of people they have to move around and stuff, where NBA has none of that. So there's some risk for sure.
There's risk, and I saw the Chiefs are going to have 16,000 fans at the first home game.
Sure.
So I don't know.
Making stuff up now. The Manning card has a high pop. The pop is like, that's the refractor. I don't think the Manning card is that.
We got the Topps Chrome and the Topps Base Manning in there.
Topps Chrome PSA 10 is 1,200. I mean, the Luca's 13,000, so it's not that high.
No, it's not that high. I think the top is actually lower too, if I'm not mistaken.
And the Manning's like one of the greatest of all time. So these older football cards some of them have high pops, but so the Topps has pop 359. A lot of these older football cards have really low pops. There's a few that stick out, like the quarterbacks like Manning and Brady, they got graded a lot. Obviously have higher pops, but some of the other guys are pretty low.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see. So let's think about this for a second in the context of the soccer surge, in the context of Project 2020, which was sort of like the predecessor to the soccer surge. we've seen now two massive surges in prices. And here we have this homegrown American through and through sport of the NFL. And we have the great pastime attached to the pastime, which is fantasy football. And people are thinking about their lineups now, and they're thinking about the draft, and they're thinking about their leagues, and they're researching players. And dude, September 10th is the first NFL games. That's not far away. It would stand to reason that football is probably going to have its own little moment here. And it won't be probably as parabolic as soccer and the others, because there's a lot more enduring market fundamentals, and it's a much more established hobby, and people understand all the options that are available to them. So it's not just like hyper focused on one card or a handful of cards or just a handful of sets. But, football definitely seems primed to have its own moment here, especially when so who do we got here? Prescott? Is that Prescott's rookie card right there?
This one's gone up a lot.
Is $1,000 strikes me as high, which is what I think that card's been trading at. But then again, we're looking at these other prices, and
what we should put in here? I keep doing this thing where I look at the graph and I always look at the beginning of the timeline and the end. I want to just see the percentage up or down somewhere. I'm going to do that. I think Frankie's called that out to me a couple times. He just wants to see the percentage of the timeline you're looking at. Absolutely. So it would be nice. I know we have it in different areas, but it'd be cool to just maybe have it overlaid on the graph. It's the timeline you're looking at, it's gone up, whatever this percentage is. It's a quarter thing.
No, absolutely. I think that'd be a great tool to have. Yeah, that'd be.
Yeah, this is the first NFL season we're going into in fantasy, especially where the card market, is where it is today, and football is kind of the last sport that we're going to see how the hype goes with all these new collectors and all this new craziness going on with the hobby, and football is definitely going to get its day.
I think it will too. I got a guy I like in football. I wish I would have taken my own advice a few months ago when we were first talking about it, but I'm starting to dig into some football. I'll probably have a couple of cards to show next week. I'm hoping an offer on eBay that I just sent in gets accepted. I'm hoping. Or, I'll pay even more. God damn it. I'll pay even more.
It's kind of fun to search football cards on eBay because you can just tell there's not a lot of attention. There's really big cards that have just been sitting there for a while. You can tell not a lot of action, and it's kind of like a new frontier where you can explore.
Indeed. Okay. Let me get to a few more questions here. This is a general question from a bubblegum a pack. And this is a question I really would like to touch on a bit because people need to be thinking about this. He says, where is the card market boom coming from?
New entrants, just your market cap, more people spending money. That's really the simple answer. Market cap's just shooting up. Rising tides, right? All the cards are going up. It's just a lot of new people, man. Go look at YouTube content. A few years ago, it was basically just me and a couple other channels, Elite Co and me holding it down. But, a few others, obviously. I don't mean to say that I was the only one, but now there's 100 YouTube channels, it seems, and all these different content streams trying to make money and tell you advice and top 5 picks and how to grade your cards, and there's just a ton of content. So you can use that as kind of a barometer for just how much attention is on this thing, and money's flowing in daily. So that's the easy answer.
It is. And guys who've been around for years and years and years get baffled at what stuff sells for, and that's fair because it is baffling. But people who are new to the hobby come in and they don't have a choice. They accept the market where it is. And so you got a guy coming in and he says LeBron Topps Chrome, rookie PSA 10 is $15,000. All right, that's what it is. If I really want one, I'll put my max at 16 because that's just what the price is. And so I'll pay a little more and I'll get it. And the other thing about the new entrants that has to be understood is that the new entrants are, by and large, extremely wealthy. You have people injecting phenomenal amounts of money into cards right now, and even verging on indiscriminate buying. And you have to understand that, once you get hooked on cards and buying cards and becoming a part of the community and the rush and the excitement of landing a card, figuring, hey, I really want this card. Is there a chance it's on eBay? You look it up. It is on eBay. It's priced a little more than the market, but you say, screw it, I buy it. You buy it. You feel amazing. The rush leading up to the mail day is amazing. The mail day comes, it's amazing. Then you just want it all over again. So you combine that psychological, reality with the fact that, like, you got people with a lot of money coming in and playing, and then, and by the way, they're making money month after month after month, unrealized gains, but just looking at the value of their collection going up. And man, that's just a recipe for irrational exuberance.
And just look at this card right here. So in the last year, Lonzo Ball, I would have thought went way down, but like you could just see the steady rise of his cards, of just like the overall market cap just going way, way up. It just seems like a guy that's like really lost favor with the hobby. He's kind of like, people have lost interest in him, and his stuff is still going up.
Dude, yeah, I mean, and I have two minds on this, because number one, I think like there are collectors out there for every player. I think, well, not every player, but I think just about every player can and should have collectors, and I love that. I absolutely love that. But should every player be 5Xing? I don't even know what Lonzo's stat line was this year. The Pelicans are in a state of disarray. There's rumors he might be traded. I know a lot of the, reasoning behind his price surge was that he's going to be this great dynamic duo with Zion.
Yeah. I mean, dude, look at the ladder. Everything's going up. There's all kinds of cards on here, which I'm excited, because you and I have talked about that so much, of like, go find different things and spread out a little bit. We're seeing it. I can't complain about that. We're seeing soccer cards. We're seeing vintage basketball. We're seeing football. Did you see the Randy Moss card?
Dude, Randy Moss
card is just like one of the hottest cards in the market right now. Walter Payton, Penny Hardaway. Like, dude, this is like so diverse. I kind of love it.
I kind of love it too, man. Like, we had several topics come in today. So, one of the topics was two guys wrote in about this, the Jordan Collector and CD cards. They wrote in talking about 1986 Fleer. And so the Charles, like, I think a 1986 Fleer card is the number 2 card. It is number 2 right now is Barkley, Charles Barkley's PSA 10 rookie. That set is doing very well. Especially PSA 10s, because guess what, guys? The pop on the PSA 10s is very, very low.
225.
That's crazy low.
And compared to Luka.
Yeah, compared to 13,000 and counting. And it's all the Prism stuff. That's what makes Mbappe's, just go back to his for a second, his 2018 Prism World Cup card. Prism has been cranked out last year and this year. Zion's Prism PSA 10 is over 10,000 now as well.
Yeah. When is that going to catch up? Because like people are making, you could buy raw cards for $10 and grade them and sell them as PSA 10s for 300. Like, when is that going to level out? Or is that like new people coming in not figuring out that you can like grade raw, or they don't want to wait, or like the PSA backup times are so long that there's a premium on it? Or I don't know what's going on there. That doesn't. It seems like that should be optimized a little more.
Dude, you had such a good paragraph or two on this when you were talking to Stacking Slabs on the Hobby Hustle episode that came out last Friday. Everybody go listen to that if you haven't already. And you talked about how the way that you mitigate risk is you'll find really great looking raw copies on eBay. And then your theory basically, correct me if I'm misstating it, but the theory basically is that worst case scenario, you picked out a great card and it's going to grade a 9, and then you're going to break even. So like your downside is basically nothing. And the upside is if you grade it and it 10s, you're going to see a terrific return on that card. And
especially with modern cards.
Say that again?
Especially with modern, because they grade so well.
Exactly. And so like I was thinking to myself, why don't I do this? Why don't other people do more of this? Like, right? Like why? And then I started thinking, well, you got to go buy the cards, and they got to come in the mail, and then you got to put them in card savers, and then you got to get them to your group sub guy, and then you got to wait, and then you got to get them back, and then you got to sell them, and months have gone by. It takes discipline and patience. And man, a lot of the hobby activity that I see is not disciplined or patient. It's impulsive. It's based on just enthusiasm and happiness and excitement. And, you know, so that's one thing I think is it takes a lot of discipline to do that people don't have, and they don't want to have. They don't want to be that formulaic. And then the other thing about it too, I was just talking to one of our friends the other day. He's got thousands and thousands of cards, but you know, he just doesn't. He's worried about the grading expense. How much is it going to cost? He's worried about getting upcharged. He's worried about, you know, picking out stuff that should be graded versus what shouldn't. I mean, the guy is sitting on big cards that have become big recently, 2012 Prism, stuff like that, key players. But he's just like, man, the grading, it just seems like such a monumental task to undertake. On the one hand, I can just sell these raw and still 4, 5, 6x what I paid for them, or I can just keep them, you know, and that seems simpler as well. So a couple of different responses to that, but I think, you know, you asked a very good question there. Why, when, if ever, will this margin between raw to PSA 10 close?
I've said a couple times on the show, like, I'm not above grading and flipping cards, and I don't mean that I'm not above like base cards and I'm not above like certain people's threshold of spending money. I mean, I'm not above like grinding and like getting in the weeds and like spending time buying cheap cards, getting them in, you know, prepping them, sending them to my sub or the PSA, like spending all the time waiting 4 months, getting them back, selling them on Instagram. I go through all that work because it's so much gain to be made that like I'm not above spending that time doing it, is what I mean. You know, you hear like guys like Gary Vee always preaching like, hey, if you want to like make money in this, it's going to take some effort and some time, and you're going to have to get in and research, you're going to have to get on eBay. And so if you want to do it, there's a lot of room to make money in the hobby just on that. And I'm definitely not above it because it's gotten me to where I am in a lot of regards. Like, and I'll keep doing it until it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I just sent 100 cards to PSA today. 120 or something like that. I mean, I went through binders and was cleaning all my cards. I was buying raws all last week, and just like, it's just a nonstop grind. So like, people buying PSA 10s, like, keep doing it because I'll keep grading the raws.
Absolutely.
Prep video. Yeah, people want to see me prep cards. I don't know about that. Grind and hustle, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Man.
Good. You know, that it's definitely out there. The hustle of it is out there, but you know, boom. There you go.
I sent 100 this morning, and I got 2 more in the mail today after I sent it. So I got some more still laying around. Never stops.
So you were just showing some select cards, if I saw them properly. Stacking Slabs, our friend Brett writes in, talk about select basketball and football and the upside opportunity with parallels.
Yeah, I think the select stuff is a lot more rare, and some of it is better looking than Prism. It's just, I made a big push on select, and I'm finding that it's really hard to overtake Prism. It's just like, there's just so much hype and so much built into it that it's like, it's almost like a monumental task to try to create more value out of select when you probably make more money just like giving up and buying Prism at this point. But you know, if you like collecting, I will say this: if you're a collector and you want to save money and you like the look of select, you know, it's more rare. It's more of a collector card for me. I think they're nicer looking in a lot of regards, like the sort of the like on-field photography versus some of the cards Prism usually are like in a studio and stuff, and it's not as interesting to me. So I think the select card is a great option for the collectors out there. Optic, I see you have here. I love the Optic stuff. It's cool looking.
Yeah, I gave this card to Nick for his birthday.
The other thing that I always want to talk about is like what do other collectors say? So if you hear a lot of collectors talking about how like they like the look of select better, they collect it more, And then you hear people that talk about Prism are usually talking about like the investment and how much money they've made. Like you say it all the time, but like the collector base and the collector foundation is what holds the hobby up. So like I usually gravitate towards what collectors like more.
Yeah, I I think so, man. I would, to me, Prism having this like reign of dominance in football um, seems to be like a little bit of basketball envy. Is that fair, or is that being too harsh? But
Totally.
uh, football, football should have its own brand, like a different brand
They
should
do.
be
They have,
set
they
trend.
have, they have contenders. They do.
Yeah, contenders,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's just yeah, you're right though. Like people are globbing onto the Prism thing because it's because of basketball, and I get that. But there's a lot of old time football collectors that I know that like Donruss more, and they like Score, some of the older brands, playoff contenders. SP is really really big. So if you're into football, check out SP. Similar to like the Jeter rookie, SP Authentic. They've got really cool cards, and their rookies are kind of the staple for some older football cards. So like football definitely has its own staple brands that have held the collector base up for a long time and that those guys have a lot of reverence for. So that's important for sure. So like I would look into that. And the contenders for me is the big one. That brand just like really sticks with me, and it's got a lot of the iconic stuff going back to Brady and Manning and stuff. Randy Moss and
Yeah.
the new contender stuff looks so nice to me. And I kind of always thought basketball would get some of the contenders love from football, and they kind of have a little bit, but it's definitely a football thing.
Yeah, I do love that contenders like is a football thing. But dude, people love contenders basketball too, but it's football is, it dominates football. I love that. But I wonder how much it matters that Prism is available retail. Like
Yeah,
I think about that. If Select was sitting in retail boxes,
yeah, that
would
makes a
that
huge.
make a difference? Yeah.
Someone Rodman asked about 90s parallels football, and they do, man. Football has all the same 90s stuff that basketball does, which is kind of fun. It's kind of cool because I've been wanting to get like into Barry Sanders stuff because I love his history and like how great he was in the shorter stint some of these other guys, but like his rookie card sucks, so I don't want it. There's like a boring.
We have
So
it in the ladder, by the
I've
way.
been looking, I have been looking at like some Barry Sanders 90s stuff, and some guys that you and I know in like the Jordan chats have a lot of cool 90s Barry Sanders stuff.
Yeah.
This card's going up a lot too, dude. It's so boring. There's 1,800 of them. And football is like, dude, this is like a Luca base, basically, like the football equivalent of that.
Yeah. And what's so amazing, man, is you see it, dude, across every class of card. Whether it's 1989 Score football, whether it's 2018 Prism, whatever, dude, that like cliff that happens in the spring of 2020, it's just on every graph. All
It's just like more money in the hobby. It's that simple, right?
it
Help me
is.
out.
It is. It's that simple. Jordan bias coming in here a bit, Michael Jordan bias, but I think The Last Dance had a lot
Yep.
of people looking up eBay and looking up cards and getting it. But instead of like going and buying Jordan cards, they just went back and bought their guy.
Yeah, that's what I like to think that you and I have had a pretty decent influence on people going and buying different stuff because we've seen the shift and stuff and see people buying different stuff. So I mean, a lot of it is just like, yeah, the market cap is just way higher, so it's more money and everything. But we're seeing it spread across everything, dude. Like, there's just nothing left that you can find that hasn't gone up since it just doesn't exist because the hobby and collectibles and entrepreneurship and people doing their own thing and being stuck at home and trying to figure out different ways to make money and invest. It's just all of that. It's just been like this incredible shift in culture and traditional how people treat traditional investments because people are getting burned by maybe their 401k after COVID and their jobs are riskier. So like I don't know, man. It's exciting. I think it's a fun I think it's a really fun avenue for people to explore, and I'm excited about it.
Dude, it is. And it's time for a shameless plug. Having a tool like Card Ladder or whatever the tool is that you might want to use that gives you access to historical, accurate data is so important to navigating this marketplace and to being able to like look at trends and not have to just do guesswork and like go one comp at a time. All the comps are projected right there for you, you know, and then that brings such a level of legitimacy to this industry that finally you can do a systematic study of this market and you can look at what's going on and, you know, take advantage of that and study this stuff and like use your eyes and your brain to see what's happening here.
The all-time sales history that we have, another shameless plug, is like it's a total game changer for the industry. Having the all-time sales history that's been vetted by someone is just like it doesn't exist anywhere else.
Nope.
And I know that like you've been carrying that mantle, and I'm very appreciative of that you've taken it so seriously, because as I use it more, this all-time sales history is just like so important, especially me digging into new avenues of like football cards. I need to know pops. I need to know what these cards sold for at release, you know, in the early 2000s. I like to know what they've done in the last 2 years. Like I want to see the trends over different timelines. Like, are they more expensive during season and less expensive in the off season? And having that graph and that all-time sales history is just so important.
It is. It really is. Let me throw a question out. This question came from Three Kings Cards, and I liked it. It was such an open-ended question, but it puts like some boundary on it. Like there is a fence around this question, but the question is, what would you like to see evolve in the near future? Product? ? People? ? Which I thought was really like an unexpected twist at the end. Like, what would you like to see evolve? Product? People? So how do you interpret that question? How do you answer that question?
Well, I think what he means is he's saying like, are the buyers going to get more educated and smarter, or are we going to lean into the Paninis and those companies to like help keep this more long-term sustainable? That's just a guess at the question, but I hope I'm right on that. And I would lean towards the people, because like if you think about Panini, their goal is to make money. Their bottom line is important. Their, you know, quarterly reviews and their revenue statements for each quarter are very important. So like they're not going to stop printing cards, you know, like their goal is to sell cards, so they're going to print more. It's up to the people to be educated on what stuff is more rare coming from the companies, what product they should be buying on secondhand market, what product they should be buying at release in terms of wax that, you know, they feel can hopefully produce some sort of value out of the box when they rip it, so there's less risk. And it's up to the people to be educated in it. I give that answer because I feel it's part of my job is to help educate everyone. So I don't want to just like wait for Panini to magically, you know, print less cards. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's so true, dude. Dude, why wouldn't Panini print more at this point? Like, you literally cannot find them on the shelves at retail stores. You just can't. And so we have to end up like, so we have to end up doing this, like ripping like clearance score football packs. Like this is it. This is all you can get unless you just camp out, and people literally camp out like it's a concert or the release of the iPad. Like people are camping out to get these things.
Can I add one quick thing? Those people that are camping out, just go buy raw cards and grade them instead. You'll make so much more money than you're making 2x flipping retail boxes versus like, you know, doing your homework and like buying them. What do I know though, right?
Nah, I mean, it's a lifestyle too for guys, you know, like there's
yeah.
It's just it's a whole thing. Okay. Fun question here. Lamim James writes in, Trae Young or Donovan Mitchell?
Short term. I haven't seen a lot of Trae lately. He must be like on the bench or something. I haven't seen him play.
Where's Trae been at, man?
Where's Trey, man? Is his prices going up still, even though he's not playing?
Dude, his prices are
Dude.
going up, dude, because his prices like have nothing to do with him at this point. They have to do with like how he relates to Tatum and how he.
They're going home?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh. Okay, whatever. Mitchell looks incredible, man. He's playing really good. They're balling.
Dude, they are balling. Dude, what the hell, man? I can't believe what's going on with the Nuggets, man. I'm tripling down on the Nuggets winning tomorrow.
They look like trash, man. They look horrible.
Dude, I don't know if MPJ is like kind of throwing off their chemistry, if they need that mile-high altitude.
I've kind of been saying that. I feel like I've been saying that, guys. Like, I don't know why they keep playing that kid. He didn't play all regular season with them at all. He's riding the pine, and now all of a sudden they throw him in and hope that like the team gels with it. It doesn't make any sense to me. And then in the fourth quarters, he's benched. Every play that I watch, he's getting roasted on defense, just absolutely destroyed. So it's a young kid. Like, this is what happens, you know? Like, you go all in on buying somebody who's played 30 games. This is what happens. These are like professional, grown adult men, and they're going to figure out how to beat these young kids who are new. It's just the way it goes. Like, they're gonna come into a game and, you know, unless you're like LeBron or Jordan or these goats, like, or you're Luka or you're Patrick Mahomes, like, it just doesn't happen where you come into these games and like affect playoff games this quickly. It's just it's a rare thing.
It is a rare thing. I'm still tripling down on the Nuggets, man. I got the Nuggets winning tomorrow.
They should just bench Porter Jr. That'll help him get back to glory.
They might, man, because him and Murray, both of those guys, like, need the ball too much and they don't facilitate enough.
His prices are like the same as Donovan Mitchell. People
Yep.
insane. Like, dude, what?
Dude, throw Jamal Murray's Prism base PSA 10 up on there.
Is it way less?
No. It's like right neck and neck with all this stuff.
How? How is Donovan Mitchell not 3x all of these dudes? He's the only one that's like affecting these games.
Yeah, and he's been the best offensive player in the first 3 games of the playoffs so far.
Trae Young is the most expensive of these.
And I don't know if you look at the pop too. I would bet the Trae Young pop is much higher.
The Jamal Murray, yeah, that's the highest. The Jamal Murray pop is actually super low. The 2016 is actually more rare.
Yeah.
So, but still, I don't understand how Mitchell isn't way higher than all these dudes. The Michael Porter Jr. is just like pure speculation that he's going to be this great player, which he very well may be, but he is not right now. So just cool your jet.
I know.
Cool your jets on MPJ. He's getting roasted, guys. He's benched in the fourth quarters.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of hobby hype about MPJ too, you know, because once you convince yourself, let me see the upside of this kid. There's a lot of upside. He was projected to be a number 1 pick. He was a number 1 prospect coming out of high school. He was a number 1 prospect in high school. But then you throw in the injury thing. Then, you know, you throw in these bubble games and he's, you know, scoring at will. It seems like, you know, once you can line up, you can marshal the evidence to support the idea that like MPJ is going to be, you know, an all NBA caliber player down the line. You know, you can start marshaling the evidence, but man, you can throw a wet blanket on that real quick with just a couple of playoff games. So, you know, this market is so dynamic, like Frankie said right now.
We're about to get cut off, so we'll go into the second hour of the chill hour, the relaxed hour.
Chill hour.
So stick with us, guys. We'll be back another hour. Got 30 seconds. I mean, this whole like MPJ thing, kind of just, like the bigger topic is just that people just love investing in young guys versus older vets. So that's nothing new. Just another example.
Yep.
See you in a few minutes. I'm gonna move to the living room and relax.
Okay.
The future is here. An innovation that will change the way the industry works. A Hot 100 chart. Updated daily. The most accurate price guide on the market. Every card has its own profile with a wealth of information. Know the precise, real-time value of any card in the system. On demand. You now have the power to unlock the secrets of the hobby.